Wednesday, hump day. We gonna make it, all right?
Center and how it activates our speech musculature, all that good jazz. So anyway,
how people are studying and how it's able to kind of stretch my thinking. Luca. What's up, y'all? Back with another day, feeling good. It's Wednesday, hump day. We gonna make it, all right? Today, I really wanted to touch on the studying, all right? So with grad school, obviously, there comes tests, there comes things that, comprehensive exams you may take, things that you have to do.
Well, hopefully you won't have to do that for much longer.
So one of the first things you want to look at and consider while studying for a large test, a quiz, whatever it may be, is first look at the time, right? How long is it going to take you to study this content, this information? And it goes hand in hand with, of course, the content itself, the information. So like, how complex is the information? Are we looking at anatomy? Do you need to know specific regions of the brain, and you're studying for neuroscience? Or again, every concept in speech can go deeper and deeper. So not saying that there's an easy topic, but are you looking at that, or are you trying to memorize the 5 domains of language, and provide examples? So the neuroscience piece is going to take a little longer to study for versus the 5 domains of language. You take a quiz, you just have to remember those 5 pieces, probably provide examples, so on and so forth. Now, it's going to look different from person to person, but the general rule of thumb, if I can remember correctly, in class was for every hour of content you study, or every hour of information in the classroom, you want to study 2.5 hours.
You sure, bro?
I think it's a 1 to 2.5 ratio. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so that may look like studying right after class. That may look like studying between classes, in your dorm room. Looked at when I was studying is I made sure I took breaks. And I know there's memes, there's jokes about like, all right, I've studied 5 minutes, I'm gonna take a 20-minute break, 25-minute break. But you truly do need to give your brain a rest. So try to grind out like 30 minutes of information and take that 10 or 15-minute break. It's possible, I promise you. You can put your phone on do not disturb, restrict anything that is going to be a distraction, and just try that out. Use your professors, use your classmates, because they have great information. One way you may be studying the cranial nerves may not be working out. You may be struggling with it, and if you have a new insight, you could probably take that insight and learn concepts in a different way. And that goes with flexible thinking. So early on, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't about the group study rooms and wasn't about working with other people, just because I was a little scared. All the information I studied for, it could be wrong, or it could have, I could have missed a single detail that would have been pertinent in the test, and I was just scared of losing that information. But towards the middle half of my graduate career, I figured that I was able to do that and have flexible thinking and look at how people are studying, and how it's able to kind of stretch my thinking, right? I think that's the important thing in grad school. You want to stretch your thinking. Don't sit with just one method, one memorization task. Think as a clinician rather than just, ooh, he, she, or they are really good at memory. Oh, that person is just really good at memory, right? They're really good at taking tests. But how are they outside the classroom? How are they responding? Something to think about.
All right, so I'll give you a great example. In undergrad, Kennesaw State, hootie hoo. I think it was, my senior year. It's about, spring semester. I took these anatomy classes. I think it was anatomy and physiology, the second one. Because I'm not gonna lie, man, I love anatomy. I love the human body, how everything interacts, and I need to chill on the Chick-fil-A, that's for sure. But how everything processes and how this movement can interact with this movement, especially when it comes to speech, the brain's in center and how it activates our speech musculature, all that good jazz. So anyway, I was taking anatomy and physiology, and y'all, final grades. The class I was okay with. The lab, because the labs were, I think it was about an hour and a half. You had each station, maybe 10, 15, it was like 10 minutes at each station. So you got to be quick. You got to look at the whatever you're looking at. It may have been the reproductive system. It may have been the skeletal system. For that lab, and you got to know a lot of concepts. You got to memorize. And that was my strategy, just to memorize, and the grade coming out of it, it wasn't too hot, and, I look back and I'm like, man, I kind of missed an opportunity to go to med school, because I just didn't have the grades, right? But I knew now, looking into it, it's like, well, I've learned from that. So if you look at my thinking back then, it was the straightforward, okay, that's where the buccal muscle is, like that's where the radius is on the skeletal muscle, or skeletal muscle. And like I looked at pictures and that was it. Like I didn't really test myself, if that makes sense. So like, meaning I didn't have this flexible thinking of, okay, so that is the radius. I just patted my knee, acting as if that's the radius. I know that's not, but don't get at me. But you got to have that thinking where, okay, that's the radius. Oh, that's how you move a ball. That's how you scratch your head. Like, thinking of the movements and talking with your friends and families. Like, that was a big thing when I was in grad school. Our professors always preached, don't just go into it memorizing stuff. Like, talk to your family about what you just learned, like, and try to explain it to them in a friendly way. And I think that really altered how I looked at just learning material, right? Not just memorizing material, but actually learning it. And that goes a long way, I'm telling you. And it's not like an extra step. It's not like, oh man, well, we just have to memorize like the cranial nerves. Why do I have this flexible thinking of how this nerve coincides with that nerve? But it truly, truly helps you out. I promise you. Like, it's everything in speech ties together. I mean, there's not one piece that is isolated, right? So when I had that flexible thinking, and when you have that flexible thinking, you're able to pair two things and you almost make your studying more efficient. I'll give you another example. So take, let's go back to our neuroscience studying. Okay, so you're studying for neuroscience. You're trying to figure out, I guess just the cranial nerves. I'm sorry, that's the only example I got right now.
Come on, bro.
You're trying to figure out the cranial nerves and how they interact, but you're also taking stuttering. You know, you take what you have with neuroscience and try to look at, okay, we're also looking about how the brain interacts with the speech mechanisms and how the brain sends signals. So use that to your advantage. You know, take those 2 classes, and I think that will really help.